Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Did you finish your homework, my son?
Yes, I did. Now please tell me the story, Baba.
All right, my son. Now, do you remember where we stopped yesterday?
You told me how Talit planned to kill the Prophet, but Miquel overheard their plans and warned the Prophet, so he escaped on a camel during the night.
MashaAllah, that was great. I will tell you the remaining story now. Listen carefully. Bismillah. Prophet Dawud alayhi salam becomes the king. Dawud alayhi salam realized that Talut was going to kill him that night. So he gathered his belongings and some food and escaped from the palace. He traveled for a long time. Then he found a cave on top of a mountain. He decided that this was a good place to get some rest. The Prophet stayed there for many days. The Prophet's brothers realized that he was hiding inside the cave and they came to meet him. "We are tired of our king," they told the Prophet. "He is ill-treating everyone in the kingdom. We want to join forces with you, brother." The next day, few citizens arrived at the cave. "What do you want?" asked the Prophet. "Please save us from our king," said the citizens. "He is an evil man and he is torturing everyone. Please let us join your army." The Prophet agreed. Like that, more and more citizens arrived to join the Prophet's army. Talut ill-treated his subjects and terrorized his soldiers. The citizens had slowly started to turn against him. When he realized that the Prophet was assembling an army, he decided to go to war against the Prophet. The army marched for many days and they had covered a great distance by now. The king and his men were tired, so they decided to rest for some time at the valley. When Talut was sleeping, the Prophet crept into his cave silently. He took his sword and cut off a piece of Talut's garment. He went outside and shouted, "O king!" The king woke up and went outside the cave. He saw the Prophet standing with his men. "You came here seeking to kill me, but I do not hate you and I don't want to kill you. If I wanted to kill you, then I could have done that while you were asleep." Then the Prophet showed him the piece of cloth and told him, "Here is your piece of garment. I could have killed you instead, but I did not. My mission is that of love, not malice." The king realized his mistake and begged for forgiveness. The Prophet forgave the king, and he was allowed to go back into his kingdom. After a few years, Talut got killed in another battle. The people remembered what Dawud alayhi salam had done for them, so they elected him as their king. Allah made his kingdom strong and great, and his enemies feared him. After some time, the Prophet was blessed with a son, and he named him Sulaiman. The boy was very intelligent and wise from childhood. He was 11 years old when the following incident took place. One day, Dawud alayhi salam was as usual solving problems of his people. Then two men came to him. One of them owned a field. The owner of the field said, "Oh dear Prophet, this man's sheep came to my field last night and ate all my grapes. I am left with nothing now. Please ask him to compensate for my loss." He cried. "Is this true?" The Prophet asked the owner of the sheep. Yes, sir, he replied. The Prophet then thought for a while and said, I have decided that you give him your sheep in exchange for his loss. But, sir, the sheep is all I have, said the man. That's when Suleiman spoke up. I have another solution. What is it? Asked the Prophet. Then his son said, let the owner of the sheep work at the field until the grapes grow back again. And let the owner of the field keep the sheep till then. The field owner can make a living by using the wool and the milk until his crops grow back. And when the grapes are ready, the field owner can take back his field and return the sheep to its owner. The Prophet was surprised. This is a sound judgment. Praise be to Allah for blessing you with wisdom. You are truly wise. The men thanked Suleiman as it was because of him that they got a fair judgment. The owner of the sheep was also happy as he didn't have to give away his sheep. Allah had truly blessed Suleiman with wisdom in addition to what he had inherited from his father. Prophet Dawud alayhi salam was a just and righteous ruler who brought peace and prosperity to his people. Allah had also honored him as a messenger. He delivered Allah's message to his people with the help of his melodious voice. When he recited the Zabur, people listened to him as if in a trance. The messages he delivered are very famous and well remembered. Even though he was the king, he did not live lavishly. He did not use the money from the treasury for himself. He was experienced in the craft of weapon making, so he made and sold weapons himself. The Prophet lived on this meager income. The Prophet divided his working day into 4 parts. 1 to earn a living and to rest, 1 to pray for his Lord, 1 to attend his people, and the last part to deliver his sermons. One day the Prophet was as usual praying in his room. He ordered the guards not to allow anyone to interrupt him. But somehow 2 men managed to enter the room. When the Prophet's prayer was disturbed, he asked them angrily, "Who are you?" "Do not be frightened," said one of them. "We have a dispute amongst ourselves, and we are here for your judgment." "What is it?" asked the Prophet. Then the first man said, "This is my brother. He has 99 ears, and I have only one. One day," he said, "hand it over to me," and overpowered me with his speech. "He has wronged me by taking my sheep. Please tell me your judgment." The Prophet didn't wait to listen to what the other person had to say and said in a hurry, "He has wronged you. It was wrong of him to demand your sheep, in spite of him having so many." Then suddenly the 2 men vanished like a cloud. It was then the Prophet realized that they were the angels sent by God. They were here to teach him a lesson. He realized that he should not have passed the judgment before hearing from the opposing party. He realized his mistake and fell on the ground seeking repentance. He sought forgiveness from his Lord and cried bitterly. Allah forgave him, and the Prophet lived for a long time. The Prophet worshipped Allah and sang his praises until he died. According to traditions, his death was mourned by 4,000 priests and thousands of people. During the day of burial, the sun was so hot and the people who had arrived were having a hard time. It was then Suleiman called the birds. Thousands of birds arrived and they flew up and covered the sun. This was the first sign of dominion by Suleiman alayhi salam that was witnessed by people.
Birds covering the sun? MashaAllah, that was amazing.
So, did you like the story?
I loved it, Baba.
All right, now are you ready for the questions?
Yes, I am.
So tell me why the people started taking the side of the Prophet.
The people were tired of Talut ill-treating them. That's why they joined the Prophet.
That's correct. Now tell me if the Prophet killed Talut when he was sleeping.
No, the Prophet cut off a piece of Talut's garment and he took the spear as well.
Why did he do that?
The Prophet wanted to show Talut that he didn't want to kill anyone, even when he had the chance.
That's very good. Now tell me the occupation of Prophet Dawud alayhi salam.
He was a weapon maker.
That's right again. The Prophet divided his day into 4 parts. How did the Prophet divide his day?
The Prophet divided his day into 4 parts. The first was for him to earn a living and to rest. During the second part, he prayed to his Lord. The third part was used for listening to his people and to settle their disputes. He used the last part for delivering his sermons.
MashaAllah, that was excellent, my son. Now for the last question. What was the name of the Prophet's son?
It was Suleiman.
That's wonderful. That's all for today. I will tell you the story of Prophet Suleiman tomorrow. Good night, Amir.
Good night, Baba.